Welcome, latest Motley Fool Scoreboard. I'm on in Chocolate. We've got longtime fools Tyler Crowe and Travis Hoium giving a 1 to 10 rating to a company Travis got me into during the summer of 2024. It's small, it's volatile, it's Owlet, ticker symbol OWLT. I've been excited to do this. Travis has too. Tyler will bring fresh eyes to it. First, we'll rate the strength of Owlet's business, including factors like industry and competition. A 10 is invincible. A 1 is hopeless. Tyler's at a 6. Travis, you're at a 7.
Yeah, I'm at a 7. I think it's a strong moat in a small niche business. But first, why don't we show what this product is? Okay, yes. I got one right here. We use this with all 3 of our kids. Our oldest is 8.5. This is our second one. This one works a little bit better, but you just wrap this thing around their foot, and this goes around their heel. And actually works pretty well. The sensor in here is just this little thing, and it connects to wirelessly to a little puck that wakes everyone in the house if oxygen level goes below a certain level or heart rate goes below a certain level. That's the basics, is that when you have a newborn coming home, you're worried about all this stuff. Are they breathing? You know, I would do the whole, put my hand on their chest every night, 5 different times. This is just peace of mind for parents like me. So that's the business. The moat is they actually have FAA approval, and we could go through a long history of, they were selling this product. They were actually taken off the market because the FDA said that they were marketing it incorrectly, but they did not have the approvals they needed. They have now gotten those approvals. And this is basically the same exact device that you're using when you're getting your heart rate taken. You got that little thing that goes in your finger at the hospital. Same exact technology in this sock. The upside for Owlet is not just that this is a consumer device, but that it's a product that gets prescribed the second you leave the hospital with a newborn. So if you've had kids, you know that one of the things you probably leave the hospital with is a breast pump. The doctor says, do you want a breast pump? You say, sure. They write a prescription and you go home with it. Owlet, the idea would be, this is going to be another product just like that. That means it would be covered by insurance, which is also a higher price point, better margins. That's the long-term vision. A lot of volatility, but they're moving in the right direction. You have geographic expansion, products like subscription services, so it could have a little bit of axon to it. So that's the vision for Owlet. Small, volatile, but high upside.
I went with a 6, and I'll admit I struggle with this one a little bit. I had one of their ancillary cameras, and I didn't have the best experience with it, so perhaps I'm biased. If I was management, I kind of wouldn't sleep well to the point of the whole thing, because I think the way that they have the business set up kind of puts it in this world of premium consumer products that could easily be reverse engineered by one of their contract third-party manufacturers. They're contracting it all out to China and Taiwan, and we've seen competitors like this, high-priced, high-margin products like Roombas, Vitamix, Dysons, etc., where somebody comes in, reverse engineers, and sells it at a much lower product. I think that could be relatively similar trajectory here. Maybe an FDA approval extends that for a market competitor.
Yeah, that's the key there. Yep.
But FDA approval of de novo medical devices is not the same patent protection you get for drugs.
Right. For management, a 10 is Warren Buffett, a 1 is Homer Simpson. Tyler's at a 5. Travis, you're at an 8.
Yeah, I actually went really high here because I'm grading on a little bit of a curve. New CEO, Jonathan Harris, is a little bit to be determined. But I think Kurt Workman, who was actually the founder of the company, being pushed out, did not do a great job. So he wasn't the right person to run the company as a public company. Hopefully Harris is. I think some of the momentum that we've seen recently shows that they're going in the right direction, but to be determined. That's why. But given that curve, I'll go a little bit higher because I was a little bit excited about the change.
Yeah, you said, I did a 5, and I went in this with fresh eyes, so I read the proxy statement to kind of get a little feel here. And I left with a lot of questions more than answers. There's a lot of related person transactions with people on the board, some weird warrant exchanges that have led to significant dilution. And
a lot of that has changed, over the last even 2 months. Yeah,
and
so
some
there's maybe
still
more
to come, with some restricted stock units that are pretty large relative to the entire business. I would worry that some of the insiders on the board and management are acting in a way that benefits themselves and not necessarily all shareholders involved.
For financials, a 10 is a fortress, a 1 is yikes. Tyler's at a 5. Travis, you're at a 7.
Yeah, high growth. Their margins are getting better. I think we may have ultimately a cap on margins when you're dealing with companies like Amazon, as their company that's doing a lot of the resales for consumers. There's going to be kind of cap on that. But I think if growth continues, or if they're able to move into some of these other markets, these things are going to continue heading in the right direction. And I want to see that inflection in operating leverage. And that's exactly where we are, is going from negative operating margins to positive operating margins. It's typically a good spot for companies to be.
Yeah, I went through 5, and for the specific reason that growth needs to remain high, I think, for this to work. They are still burning through cash. Its overhead spending is still relatively high for its particular product. And so I think that's a big barrier to profitability. And to get over that hump, it's going to need some pretty significant revenue growth to make it work.
Let's move on to valuation, Travis, or Tyler, actually. How well will Owlet stock do over the next 5 years, and how safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
So I went 10-15 with a safety score of 3. Travis gave the comparison to Axon. The thing that came to mind to most to me was iRobot. So I think the 5-year return window seems dependent on how long Owlet can kind of fend off that patent or FDA approval competition that I think will inevitably come from somebody reverse engineering the product. If you look at iRobot over 5 to 10, it did fantastic, but once the competition comes, it can really start to eat away at it relatively quickly.
Yeah, and I went 15% plus, and still a relatively low safety score of 6. There are some of those overhangs, like Tyler said, about the capital structure. That's why, getting the founder out, moving in a more professional or seasoned CEO, I think is probably the right move. Now this company's just got to mature as a company. Don't think that you know everything that's going on with changes to the warrants and RSUs and things like that. So there is going to be potentially be dilution. But if the thesis is right, and this does become the kind of product that is prescribed just as standard procedure for every single new mother, not only in the US, but also internationally as well, the upside is huge. So high return expectations, but low safety.
Thank you to both Travis and to Tyler. They've given Owlet a meh overall score of 6.5 out of 10. Obviously, Travis higher than Tyler, but no top-its. We'll see if this becomes an Axon or if it becomes an iRobot. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Amentum. Till then, Fool on.